This episode of Biters is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Hey everybody, this is Dianne. Welcome to Biters.
This is Marnell, and can we really call it Biters?
It may be the worst episode of Biters ever, or it could be terribly, terribly funny.
Or both. We've decided it could be both of those things.
It could be terrible and funny.
Yeah.
So this week we're rating Love Actually.
Because it has Andrew Lincoln in it.
Right. For, all of 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's kind of Christmassy, and it's almost Christmas, and yeah, that's our justification.
And it was either that or the Pollyanna McIntosh movie, which will come soon enough, so...
Yes. Yes, which is probably going to be this movie for you, like it is for me.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's a terrible horror movie, which makes it A-okay in my book.
So people may or may not remember, but Marnell said she hates rom-coms, so I made her watch it not once, but twice.
Right.
and
then I had to go read the
talking
Wikipedia.
to me.
Yeah. I had to go read the Wikipedia, and yeah. I know way more about this movie than I ever wanted to.
The question I have is, do the other half watch it with you?
Yes.
Oh, now that's a brave soul.
Yes. It was actually funnier than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little more on the rom than the com, and it was pretty funny, but yeah, not my cup of tea.
Yeah, not even with chocolate biscuits.
No. No, not even. But I do have to say, the cast was amazing.
It really did have a huge cast. That was one of the things that really surprised me when I rewatched it, was that, good Lord, the Shiba Inu is protesting, I think. He's like, you made me watch it too many times, too.
And yet he's deaf, so he didn't get near the thing that I did from it.
But yes, it did have a stellar cast. And quite a big cast.
Yeah, it did. Like, it just kept going and going.
Right. It really did. And that's one of the things that I will say about it as we get into our fragrant Christmas time potpourri. So it was filmed in 2003. And again, we're doing it because we're on a hiatus from Biters, and because it was really, at least in America, a bit of a breakout role for Andy Lincoln.
Yes, definitely. In fact, had I seen this before I had watched The Walking Dead, I would have been like, how did that guy get the role of Rick?
Right.
Yeah, I would have been like, Andy Lincoln from Love Actually? Really? He's going to be Rick? No. Yeah, I would have never saw him as Rick.
So seriously, when I watched Walking Dead for the first time, that was the only thing I knew him from, and I was like, this guy from Love Actually?
Oh, I have so much to say about, yeah.
Well, tell me your rating first. Let's stick with our traditional format, as it were.
I'm so terrible. You're going to hate me. The world is going to hate me.
No.
In my defense, there's a raging fight online about whether or not Love Actually is a good movie or a terrible movie. And it's about 50-50. So I think half of the people are going to be on my side.
That'll be the half that don't listen because they're like, really? They're talking about Love Actually on Biters?
Right? I rated it a 2.0 Nativity Lobsters.
Oh, you really did hate it.
I did. Like, And I mean, it wasn't like the worst movie. I really do not like romantic comedy. And there's a couple articles, if you hate Love Actually, there's a couple articles online that will really resonate with you.
Oh, you may have to post one on Biters.
Oh, yeah.
Totally, because I would not seek one of those out, and I would definitely read it if you posted it.
Well, I'm going to say something that I never thought I would say before, but there's actually a really good article on Jezebel.
That's okay. I forgive you for that.
Normally Jezebel is not my my go-to because it's a little uber feministy for me. So it's going to be way, way over the top. The article is titled, I rewatched Love Actually, and I'm here to ruin it for all of you. Which is exactly how I feel about this film. It goes a little over the board with some of the stuff, but a lot of the stuff that it pointed out resonated with me. So maybe I'll post that one.
Well, at least 50% of the people are going to hate me because I actually thought it held up fairly well. Ugh. So I rated it 4.578 out of 5 painful dance sequences.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of those times that you and I are not on the same page.
Definitely not.
And I don't think either of us are going to convince the other one in the direction, because I think this is one of those really polarizing movies that you either love or hate.
Although it's going to be interesting to see where we end up with our goods, bads, and uglies and kind of how we traverse that terrain.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
So I obviously don't have numbers for viewing. I guess I could have tried to look it up to see what it did worldwide in terms of gross. I didn't.
So it actually initially didn't do well in the U.S., but it's kind of become one of those Christmas movies that's watched year after year. Mm-hmm. It grossed $247 million worldwide, and it cost $40 million to make. So it did 6 times what it cost to make, and that's just in box office. That's not even in residuals. So
wow,
yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it really, it did really well in the UK initially, but it has since become one of those movies like Home Alone or Die Hard that Americans just watch year after year. So
will you think less of me if I tell you that we actually own a copy of it?
No, I get the appeal. It's just not, it doesn't appeal to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like country music. I get why people like it. I just don't like it.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, it doesn't resonate with anything in my life.
Well, so I have numbers from Rotten Tomatoes and then the rating from IMDb, and on Rotten Tomatoes it actually only got a 63%, which that surprised me. I figured it would be higher. And then the IMDb rating was 7.6 out of 10. So again, really like a 76%.
Yeah, that's higher than I would give it. Rotten Tomatoes, I think, probably has the more accurate score for me. Like, it's like a 60% good movie. Like, if I had a broken leg, I wouldn't walk on it to change the channel. But yeah, I probably wouldn't intentionally watch it on cable.
If I had a broken remote, I actually might get up to change the channel just so I could see it.
But okay, we're going way into it now, but I just have to say, how do we watch have you ever watched it on cable?
I don't think so.
So I actually kind of want to watch it on cable just to see how they portrayed Jack and Judy's relationship.
Oh, right.
Right? Because, of course, in the U.S., we're all such prudes and we can't see boobies. Right. So, like, their relationship, that's like 90%. Like, it's basically them, like, clothed. And then at the very, very end, they're at the airport clothed. And that's it.
And for people who don't remember necessarily the characters by their names, because I'll be honest, I'm going to refer to a lot of them by their actors' real names and not their names from the movie. Those are the people who were the stand-ins for the sex scenes in various movies. That's how they met.
Yeah.
That's really funny. No, I have not seen it on cable, so I'm not sure how. They'd probably just do like polite cuts to their face or that sort of thing.
Either that or they do those horrible digital bras, like when they
Oh,
try and show like striptease or showgirls on cable.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was way more of Lord of the Rings than I ever wanted to see. I can't find the guy's name. The guy who plays, or the guy who is Jack in real life.
Right. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what was his name?
There's so many people in this movie. So yeah, I when I first watched it and I was like, oh, thank God the blinds are closed. I was like, how is this shown on cable? Their entire storyline is them naked. I don't understand how I mean, there's plenty of other people to focus on. There's like, what, 8 relationships going on? So you could completely cut them out of this movie and you really wouldn't miss anything.
And they might actually do that.
Yeah, that's funny. Now I actually kind of want to watch it on cable, darn it.
Martin Freeman. That's his name.
Sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forget which character he played in Lord of the Rings.
I thought that he played... No. Did he play Bilbo Baggins in the Hobbit movies?
Oh, now I have to look.
I think
he's not
he
even
did.
our featured cast member.
Yeah, he's known for playing Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit.
Yeah, way more Bilbo than I ever wanted to see.
Well, so our writer and director were one and the same. It was a guy named Richard Curtis. And this will horrify you, I'm sure, because so many of these movies are movies that I just love.
Oh, yeah, he's way big in the rom-com
He's the
genre.
Brit rom-com guy.
Yeah.
So he wrote 4 Weddings and a Funeral. He wrote Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which I have not seen yet, but I'm sure I will be tortured with it because the other half loves it. He wrote Bridget Jones 1 and 2, Notting Hill.
Okay, I did kind of like the Bridget Jones movies, but just because she was so snarky.
You would probably like The Tall Guy. It's a movie that not many people have heard of, and it's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's got Jeff Goldblum and Emma Thompson in it. And Jeff Goldblum plays a tall American actor in England who is having a hard time finding work. And he ends up with the title role of the Elephant Man in the musical Elephant. You
had me at Jeff Goldblum.
It's a really funny movie. Definitely more calm than rom.
Oh, that's funny. And that's my thing, is like, I like them more calm than rom. I have seen some rom-coms, like Friends with Benefits.
Which I've never seen.
Yeah, it's really good. But anything with Mila Kunis is pretty good, so.
It's kind of not my genre in terms of picking a genre either, but I don't vehemently hate rom-coms.
Well, it's okay. It's super expensive to go to the movies anymore. And that's not just in Alaska. That's everywhere. And so when you're picking a movie to go see, are you going to go see Captain America in the theaters, or are you going to go see a rom-com? You're going to go see Captain America because the big screen adds something to it. And for rom-coms, it's just not that way. So they usually go to the bottom of the list. And
girl, I'm going to go see Aquaman.
Right? Yeah, that's definitely, the big screen is going to add a lot for that. But so will private viewings.
Oh, God. Oh, too funny. So I was just surprised to see that Richard Curtis had written so many of the movies that I remember and love, especially The Tall Guy, which I really do urge you to seek out. I promise, Biters, we won't review it for any of you because it doesn't have a single blessed soul who thus far has been in an episode of Walking Dead, as far as we know.
Oh, that's funny.
But it's a really funny movie.
And of course, he seems to cast a lot of the people he has worked with previously in the roles that for this movie.
Well, you know,
So
and that was kind of one of the things my brain kind of muddled pieces of this up with Four Weddings and a Funeral
Notting
and
Hill,
yeah. And it's
Miss,
because a lot of the same actors are in the films.
yeah, Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean. Yeah.
Although I do have
Yep.
to say he wrote Warhorse, which was not a rom-com and was a really good movie.
Pirate Radio too. That was more comedy than romance, so
You know, I think I've seen it, but I don't remember it super well.
it was pretty good. Yeah.
Well, he's directed 5 things, and Love Actually was the best known of all of them. So he had not directed a ton. He's written a lot, though.
So, have you noticed the Red Nose Day Actually short that he's been credited with?
I noticed it. I didn't watch it. Did you actually seek it out and watch it?
I didn't actually watch it. I found it. I found out about it today. It was released in the U.S. in May of 2017. I think in the U.K. it was March, and it was a short movie. And it was a 14-year follow-up on all of our characters, and it was done for the Red Nose Day charity that they do in the UK. I forget what the charity does, but a lot of times around spring you'll see a lot of British actors wearing red noses, and it's for some charity thing that they do. But
They actually sold them at Walgreens this year up here, so it must be making its way.
I had heard of it before, but it's not sticking to me for what it's actually for.
Of course, I'm Googling it, so...
So they actually...
donations for Oxfam.
I don't know what that is.
It's a charity to help people who are hungry.
Okay.
It's a charity to help in famine, and it actually started as a comic relief
Oh, yes.
holiday.
Yeah, we have always had something similar to that here in the U.S., and it was started by like Whoopi Goldberg and Robin Williams.
Right,
and,
they were comic relief. So,
yeah, and that was to end hunger.
Yeah, and Oxfam is a British agency that its goal is exactly that. So
That's very cool. Well, they did a follow-up to Love Actually with all of the characters.
So how are all of the characters?
Pretty much the same.
Except Alan Rickman had passed away.
Right.
By then.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so sad. That just, that hurts.
Yeah.
And of course, I think that's probably why we made him our featured cast member, because he's such a beloved actor and, was in this movie, and he's so well known.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Whether you know him as Hans Gruber or Severus Snape.
Or the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Or the voice of God.
Yes, the voice of God. What was it? The Metatron? Isn't that what it was? What the?
Yes.
Yeah.
In Dogma. Yep. Or Marvin from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Which I have never watched. I should probably be ashamed of myself. I'm not a good geek that I have neither read it nor watched it.
Oh, so you probably haven't seen Galaxy Quest either.
Yes, I have, and I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Galaxy Quest was hilarious.
Yeah, remember Daryl Chill Mitchell was in it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is right.
Our featured cast member from Fear the Walking Dead earlier this season.
That is right.
Well, so we might as well go to Alan Rickman. We've kind of listed off some of his accomplishments. Is there anything in particular that you want to say about him?
The other half, Alan Rickman is in his favorite Christmas movie, which is Die Hard.
I was going to say Die Hard.
Yep. And I think that was his breakout role in
We had that on earlier this week, and I was like, oh my God, that doesn't even look like Alan Rickman.
Right? But it definitely sounds like him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, he was in Quigley Down Under. I don't remember that.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. Elliot Marston in Quigley Down Under, 1990.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that movie was like one of my 2.0s, but I would watch it again just to see what Alan Rickman's role in it was.
Right? Oh, He was in so much that I have never heard of, too.
So I'm sure you've seen Truly, Madly, Deeply.
Maybe. It sounds familiar.
It's a rom-com. It definitely is a rom-com, but it's got a supernatural or a paranormal twist to it in a sweet way. So you might not want to watch it just because it is a rom-com and it leans more in the rom direction, but it was a pretty great movie.
Huh. So it was in 1990, and it kind of has a plot of a whole bunch of movies from the 1980s, early 90s. A woman dealing with an inconsolable grief over the death of her partner gets another chance when he returns to Earth as a ghost. So, Hello Again, Ghost, God, that one with Daryl Hannah. Like, there were so many movies about relationships with ghosts. I don't know what was around that time that makes that a thing, but now it's vampires and zombies.
Hard to have a relationship with a zombie unless you're talking about Warm Bodies, though.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
That was a funny movie. Again,
it was a
rom-com. But there were enough zombies in it that it was okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I see your pattern.
There has to be another shtick other than rom-com.
Ah. Well, I just want to give a shout out. He also played Colonel Brandon in Sense and Sensibility, which was one of my favorite movies. And Emma Thompson was in that too.
Yeah, there's actually been a couple, I think, that he's worked with Emma Thompson on.
Right, because she was in the Harry Potter movies too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I always forget about that.
She played not the gardening teacher.
No, the
like prophecies or
yeah.
I can't remember what her subject was exactly, but it was like prophecies and fortune telling and that kind of stuff. And she was a flake.
Crystal ball gazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did not watch anything in particular to do with Alan Rickman. I just kind of looked through his IMDb and thought, oh, I miss him so much. He was such a great actor.
He was. So we lost him almost 2 years ago. I'm sorry, almost 3 years ago now to pancreatic cancer.
And he was 69. He was David Bowie's age when David Bowie died.
Yeah.
And neither one of them felt, I hate to say that old because that's so ageist, but neither one of them felt their age to me.
No. Definitely not enough years on this planet.
Mm-hmm. And the world kind of started to spiral out of control when Prince and David Bowie and Alan Rickman
they got out of here just in time.
Just in time.
Oh, God. It's so true.
Well, do you want to head into your good, your bad, and your ugly? Do you even have a good?
Okay, so I have a couple of minor goods. It was funnier than I expected it to be. And Liam Neeson is a really funny dad and a really good dad, as long as he doesn't have a daughter that gets kidnapped all the time. I loved his kind of relationship with, and it was actually his stepson. When I was reading the Wikipedia on it, I didn't realize that for some reason I must have missed that in my 2 watches that was his stepson.
Well, you have to watch it a third time now.
On cable.
That's right.
So, but and that it kind of clicks because he kind of seems like he has more of an uncle role, where like he tells the kid like totally inappropriate things, like we were going to have sex all over the house, including your bedroom,
right toward the end though, the little boy calls him dad.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, right toward the end as they're getting ready to go to the airport to go see the girl.
Oh.
Or maybe it's when he gives him the okay to get an instrument, to get drums. I don't know, but there's like a moment where their relationship kind of shifts and he calls him dad.
Yeah, I thought that was a really sweet relationship, and that was even though Jezebel had some negative things to say about that also, but I just thought that was probably the most endearing relationship out of everyone's relationship in the movie for me.
Okay, you really do have to post a link to that article because now I want to see how they could possibly trash that relationship.
Like I said, it goes way over the top, but if you want to be able to point out any reason to not like this movie, it's in there. Uh, but the other thing is, can we just talk about their soundtrack for like one hot minute? The soundtrack to this movie took me back. And for some reason, I thought that this movie took place before 9/11, but it was pointed out in the very beginning that it took place after 9/11 in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, the soundtrack just, like, it took me further back.
It was because of the Pointer Sisters song.
It could be. So it's got Jump, and it's the Girls
that's
Aloud
the Pointer Sisters
version.
song. Yeah.
Right. It was done by Girls Aloud in the movie, which, if you're not familiar, is a UK female pop band, as is Sugar Babes, who also did some songs on the soundtrack. And I absolutely love those two girl pop bands from the UK. I mean, think Spice Girls, only like less known. Like I've had multiples of both of their albums in CD and on MP3 and now on Amazon streaming music, and just I always find myself re-getting their albums again. So I just love them. But I mean, Dido was on there, Maroon 5.
I remember that. Yeah.
Joni
Maroon
Mitchell.
5. I love Maroon 5.
Okay. And I am the biggest Grinch. I hate rom-coms. I hate Christmas. I actually hate Christmas. I love the season. I love snow. I love cold. I love hot drinks. I love scarves, all of that. But Otis Redding, White Christmas. I love anything Otis Redding. I mean, you say Otis Redding and I'm there. But Beach Boys, Ava Cassidy, just the soundtrack to this movie. I'm actually going to have to go find it. Like, I love the soundtrack to this movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get really lucky and it will have the Billy Mack song on it as well.
I think it is on. There's actually two different soundtracks. There's the US CD track and the UK CD track. And I think only one of them has the Billy Mack song on it.
That's funny.
But I'm actually not finding it for either of them. Huh.
I was being facetious. Maybe you'll be lucky and it won't be on there because, dear God, it's still stuck in my head days later.
I do have to say that I did love that part of the movie. I love, and I don't know how to say his name. Bill Nye?
Nighy.
Nighy, okay. Because I'm like, no, we have a Bill Nye. He's the science guy. But I loved Bad Grandpa of Rock and Roll.
He was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what was your good?
Well, your good kind of plays into mine, and mine is that it's a movie not just about romantic relationships, that it also looks at relationships like the brother-sister relationship. You've got Emma Thompson, who is the sister of Liam Neeson. She's also the sister of the Prime Minister. I think
Liam Neeson was just her friend.
Oh, do you think he was just her friend? I thought he was her brother. Okay. Then you've got Laura Linney's character, who's got the brother who's mentally ill.
Yes.
You've got the stepdad-stepson relationship. And then the aging rock star and his manager, which was very sweet.
It was very sweet.
So that was my good, was that I really, really liked that it dealt with so many different kinds of relationships, not just the romantic relationship.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, lay your bad on me.
So this movie was totally misnamed. This movie should have been 60% of these people are selfish twats. I am sorry, but 60% of the people in this movie, and it's not just the men. Like, I'm not going to harsh on the men. Some of the women were just as awful.
Oh, I do think the woman who played Alan Rickman's secretary, not the actress I'm sure was lovely, but that character was a terrible character.
She was. And then, God, what's his name? The guy who went to go right in France.
Oh, Colin Firth. I love him.
Colin Firth's girlfriend was sleeping with her brother.
Or his brother.
His brother.
Right.
Yeah. And then Alan Rickman turns out to be kind of not terrible, but I mean, he was right on the edge of being terrible.
Yep.
And Emma Thompson was a horrible friend to Liam Neeson. She, like, some of the stuff that she said to him was just awful. And then
I kind of thought those were things that you can only get away with saying to someone that you're really close to. That's part of the reason that I thought he was her brother. When she was like, please, it's not like I'm not terribly upset that your wife just died.
Right, but, like, not right after she dies. Like, he picks up the phone to call you, and she says that. And then she comes over and tells him to quit being a sissy because he'll never find a woman who wants to sleep with him, because he's a sissy and crying all the time.
But the other thing is his wife died of cancer, so she had been dying for a long time.
Yeah.
You get the sense that it was a very protracted death. I don't know.
Yeah.
I maybe because I work in healthcare and I have kind of different attitudes about death. I really thought that those were just kind of things that you can get away with saying to someone who you're close to, who's kind of been through that.
Yeah, that's true. Gallows humor.
Yeah.
So then Tony, who was Colin's friend, not Colin Firth, Colin the character, Chris Marshall.
The kid who went to
America.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, of all places.
Right.
Nothing against Wisconsin, but, like, if you're gonna go somewhere, I don't know, like, but I could totally see Americans doing that, where they're gonna go to some place in England and they think it's like the hip place to be, and everyone in England is like, yeah, no, there's nothing there but cow pastures and farmers, Like,
it's kind of like going to rural Alaska. Why would you do that?
Right? Whenever people move to Alaska, they're like, oh, I just moved here. I'm like, why?
By the way, shout out to the real Alaskan housewives who survived the quake of 2018.
Right? I didn't even feel it.
We felt it quite strongly and lost power the day of the quake, but we were lucky. We all we did was have a few things knocked off the shelf and lost our power for a bit. So
well, and a lot of the roads near you were knocked out for a while.
Oh, let me tell you, it took me an extra hour to get into Anchorage today. It was horrible.
But did you see, like, okay, so if you saw anything about it, there's the Minnesota Avenue exit for the airport where the car, the ramp collapsed and the car is just sitting down there. That thing's repaired already.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Like, it's already fully functional already. I'm like, wow. I have no idea why it takes 2 years to do a road here when they can actually do it in 3 days.
I would also like to point out that our buckled roadways showed some of the complete stupidity of humanity, with people in the crevices on this horribly destroyed roadway near us. And I thought, all it's going to take, folks, is one good aftershock. Good aftershock.
And you guys are having plenty of good aftershocks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So there is a great meme of probably 24 people standing in those holes in the roads. And it says, every other state, I hope Alaska's okay. Alaskans, let's go play in the hole. So, I didn't feel it. I'm like, as the bird flies, I'm probably about 600 miles southeast, and not part of the main body of the state. We're kind of this little panhandle down south, because people are like, well, Fairbanks felt it. How did you not feel it? And it's like, well, Fairbanks is part of the big landmass up there, and I think it's because Fairbanks and you are on the same fault, and we're on the fault with Seattle. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. This has been Geological Hour with the Real Alaskan Housewife.
Yes, I'm sorry to have totally sidetracked you. We were talking about Colin, who went to Wisconsin.
Yeah, so Tony was a terrible friend. Like, he was just always not, I mean, not that Colin was a great guy. I mean, the way that he hit on women was basically if he didn't have intercourse right straight away, like, women were horrible, you know? Like,
Right.
what's wrong with me? You won't immediately jump my bones. But Tony was like so negative. He's just like, you know, you're a geek and you're not going to get laid anywhere. Face it. People were just horrible to each other in this movie. And the most iconic scene of this movie, of course, is Andy Lincoln
Holding
with
up the
cue card
signs. Yeah.
with Keira Knightley. And to me, I'm just like, okay, after the whole stalkery wedding video of her,
Oh.
after pretending to dislike her because he liked her and he can't deal with his own adult feelings, and then she goes out and runs out and kisses him. You know, this all happens within 5 weeks. And I'm just like, you're awful. She runs out of, like, first, like, he's trying to court his best friend's wife 5 weeks after they're married, 4 weeks after they're married. And then she runs out and kisses him for it. And, like, I'm just like, you people are awful.
Okay, you're kind of hauling me a little bit toward your left.
You have to read the Jezebel. So yeah, I'm just but I will say this, like, these people were awful, but that's real life. I mean, you know, that stuff happens all the time. People leave each other for their best friends or their husband's brother, or, you know, that stuff happens every day, you know. So I can't say that, you know, it was all Hollywood cliche fluff, because it happens.
And this is the Real Housewives of Alaska wishing you a very Merry Christmas.
Everyone's going to be like, oh, they totally tore down this great rom-com and they harshed on Christmas and reminded me Alan Rickman's dead. Get back to zombies. Okay, so that was mostly my bad.
Those were the highlights of your bad?
Those are the highlights. That was the baddest of the bad. Are you still there?
I'm still here. I do have a bad.
You sound a little muffled. I don't know if you're further away from your mic.
I might have been facing away from my mic. Is that better?
Not really, but okay.
Well, so my bad is the whole thing that goes down with Laura Linney's character, like, answering the phone and ignoring the hot guy that she's supposedly been in love with for 2 years. And, like, everybody should know by now that she is dealing with her mentally ill brother, and she should just explain it and get over it and get on with the relationship.
And the hot guy needs to not be like, peace, I'm out, because you're dealing with your mentally ill brother,
right,
who your parents have died, so you're all each other's got. He should, like, be like, let's have a conversation. But no, I'm just interested in getting laid, and if we can't do that, I'm gone.
Right, because truly,
I can go nail some other girl.
If totally hot guy is only into you and not willing to hear out your sad story about your mentally ill brother and stick with you through that, totally hot guy is not your love.
Yeah, especially when you've been working with him for 2.5 years, and, you know, probably everybody knows. And if he doesn't, he obviously has to have some sort of understanding that, you know, you're going through something. And if he doesn't, or if he doesn't care, then yeah, no.
I mean, I can understand being private about your stuff and not wanting your work life to mix with your home life, but that's a big thing. I think I would probably be explaining to people why my phone was going off 24/7 while I was at work.
Right. And having weird conversations about the Pope and
right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, not that I don't have those weird conversations with it at work. People call me all the time for random trivia stuff. They'll be like, what was that movie about that girl who was doing that thing that one time? And I'll be like, girl interrupted. And just hang up the phone. Yeah, well, no, I totally agree with you that on the one hand, she shouldn't have been answering her phone, but on the other hand, she should have. And hot guy really needed to have a little more understanding.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Jezebel article points out that the hot guy really should not have been named Carl. because he doesn't look like a Carl. He looks like a Rodrigo.
Oh my
which
God,
is
that's
actually
hilarious.
his name in real life. Right? He did not look like a Carl. Carl.
Well, you know, I mean, maybe he was German. Maybe his family was German. Come on, Jezebel, cut them a little slack.
Sure.
Well, so what was your ugly? And obviously it was a bad ugly.
Yeah, it was, but not for the reasons you think. It's the timeline of the movie doesn't map out. This all takes place within about 5 weeks. You know, it's like they have that wedding and then all of a sudden it's like 4 weeks before Christmas. And so I'm thinking the timeline is about 5 weeks, and just all of this that happened within 5 weeks. I'm just like, it's not realistic that, you know, Andy Lincoln, they figure out that Keira Knightley figures out he's in love with her, and the whole Christmas Eve thing, and then the Jezebel does point out that the secretary still hasn't booked a venue for the office Christmas party, and it's only like 3 weeks before Christmas, and like there's just a whole bunch of stuff where it's like this really should have taken place over about 3 or 4 months. And I honestly think they could have cut the cast in half and had a better movie, and maybe done a follow-up, maybe done a part 2 with like a few crossover characters and then the other half of the cast. And I just think it was too big, it was too scattered, it was too pressed for time. I mean, honestly, I think Jezebel pointed out that the Natalie, the
Prime Minister's
butler, she wasn't a maid.
She was like a kitchen manager kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that. They joked that like she only had 27 lines or something, or spoke 27 words or something. And they were pointing out at how the women, like these men were able to get the girl, and like the women, everything about them was completely inconsequential, you know, and they only had to say 27 lines or 27 words, and like that was it. And so I just really think it was too pressed for time. There was too much going on for 5 weeks and 8 couples and various other characters. So that was my kind of bad ugly. Is I really think it could have been better if it were 2 movies. Or if they could have done one of those like miniseries, if this was made for TV, where it was like a 1-hour episode every week for like 4 weeks.
Now this is part of my fragrant potpourri with a cinnamon stick. I actually thought that they did a pretty good job at wrangling so many storylines into a movie.
You know, they tied people together, which really helped. It wasn't so random. But I felt like we could have gotten more from the characters. Like, yeah. I wanted more character building, which usually I'm not a huge fan of.
Interesting.
There's a very fine line, and that line is trying to get through the first chapter of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Love Actually.
What?
I can't get through the first chapter of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo because there's so much character building and backstory that I need.
Good book. Oh,
it's like before I could never read Game of Thrones before they had all the charts explaining how everybody's related and where they are on the map. I'm a visual person, so yeah, too much character building or not enough. There's a very fine line.
Too funny.
Yeah. So what was your ugly?
Well, my ugly was obviously a good ugly. I loved the storyline with Colin Firth. And I loved that he and Aurelia fell in love in spite of not speaking each other's language. And yeah, I'm totally sappy. I'll admit it. I'm completely embarrassed now.
Okay, now I'm thinking of not posting the Jezebel article because you will really rethink that.
It's okay. Post the Jezebel article. I'm already rethinking it, even as the words come out of my mouth.
Oh, again, with the timeline, though. I mean, it was what, 3 or 4 weeks that he fell in love with a woman he'd never had a meaningful conversation with.
Like I said, I'm rethinking it even as the words come out of my mouth.
I'm a terrible person.
I will probably never be able to watch this movie ever again.
You're going to have to go back and rewatch it and be like, oh my God, what was I thinking?
No, I'm just going to have like a DVD burning party. I have to tell you, by the way, this is totally off topic. So Boogie Nights was on the other night. Now, I remember loving Boogie Nights, like thinking it was one of the best movies I had ever seen. We watched it, I think last night, maybe the night before, and it was so depressing.
Yeah,
Oh,
it really is.
I was like, where was my head when I was watching this movie? Because it was obviously not in a healthy place.
You know, it's one of those things, it's one of those movies, it's like really fun the first time. And it got so much hype because, of course, Marky Mark's dong.
Right.
Prosthetic one, may I add. But, you know, like the second and third time you watch it, you start to pick up on, you know, how horrible Roller Girl's life was, and like how horrible his life turned out to be. Like, the glitter starts to fall off and you see the grime underneath. And
it was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Like I said, first couple of times you watch it, it's super fun. And then, yeah, no.
Yeah,
it goes
so I'm going to get the
dark
blowtorch out, and there's going to be my copy of Love Actually and my copy of Boogie Nights.
We should do this more often. Maybe I can rent some more movies for you.
Oh my God.
Oh.
I still love Love Actually. I'm just rethinking a lot of the plot.
See, and you know, I like anyone should listen to me. I love horrible horror movies. I love B horror movies, like the worse the better. I grew up on USA Up All Night with Gilbert Gottfried and Julie Brown, and just if you ever want a good time, there's a Bill Maher movie I'm going to have to find. And yes, I did say Bill Maher because he's the biggest star in it.
I was going to say, I think he's been in like one movie.
And not Religious.
Right. Which was a great movie, by the way.
It was. Oh my God, my connections are really slow. So I'm going to say it's, oh, good. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, no, now I'm not going to be able to find it. Oh, actor. There we go. It's not under filmography. It's under actor. And he was actually in like 42 movies. But of course, I think he pretty much plays himself. It is called Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death.
Oh my God, I think my husband has watched that.
It is a film from 1989, and it is the best of B flicks. I just, every time I think of terrible movies, I think of Cannibal Women of the Avocado Jungle of Death. And the only way that I can ever remember how to find it on IMDb is Bill Maher was in it in 1989.
My God, that's hilarious.
So when I'm cutting a movie down, just remember the kind of movies that I like. And you will feel completely validated to like the movies you like.
I'm not feeling so validated right now. I'm feeling a little bit like a bad feminist.
Well, and okay, so that's why I thought this movie was like long before 2003. Because if you go back and watch things like, I mean, even The Breakfast Club,
right?
Like, it was a different time. Molly Ringwald actually just did an article where she talks about how when she goes back and looks at all of the, who's the guy that did all the movies in the 80s, like
God.
Breakfast Club.
Should totally know that.
Right? It's not
Jonathan Demme,
right now.
Right?
No.
No?
If I could spell breakfast.
We're terrible. We can't even review a movie and get that right.
Like, Molly Ringwald was in all of his movies. Judd Nelson, John Hughes.
John Hughes, yes, there
All
we
of
go.
the, like, if you go back and like, I love John Hughes movies, but you go back and you look at them now and you're like, wow, that was super misogynistic.
Oh yeah,
you know?
some of them are even a little
really,
date rapey. Yeah.
yeah, that doesn't hold up at all.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's why I thought Love Actually was from way before. Is
I
because
still think Love Actually holds up better than John Hughes movies do.
it does, but read the Jezebel article.
Well, what else do you have in your fragrant potpourri? Anything else? I feel like we've pretty much covered this movie to death.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Can we just say Billy Bob as POTUS is completely accurate?
It was hilarious, actually.
Like, so when he was totally leering at Natalie, I totally got Bill and Monica vibes.
Ooh.
I know. He was so awful that I'm like, we would totally vote for him. Right? You could see Billy Bob, that version of Billy Bob Thornton as POTUS. I could. Totally see.
Yeah.
Yep. So the end scene, well, one of the end scenes with the kid escaping through and running through Heathrow Airport.
And then just getting a slap on the wrist after 9/11.
Right? Okay, can I just say that was the biggest dick move to let your kid do that? 2 years after 9/11, one of the busiest airports in the world, on Christmas Eve. All of those passengers now have to be rescreened. All of those flights are delayed.
They've missed all their connections.
No. That's like $1 million fine and some serious jail time for interrupting flights like that.
That's kind of hilarious.
I know. I looked at that and I was like, don't do that. No, not on Christmas Eve. No. Yeah. The things you don't think about that because I cut down rom-com movies, I think about.
Now, what about the way that it opened? Do you at least admit that the opening line is a good line about how none of the phone calls from 9/11 were phone calls about revenge? They were about love.
Yeah, so I actually thought I was really going to like this movie based on that. I was like, because, okay, of
10
the things,
seconds of glory.
Since we're talking about things that I hate, can we just say Hugh Grant? I really do not, like, I never have liked Hugh Grant. And I think it's because he does a lot of rom-coms. So
he
it's
does.
just,
yeah.
So
you don't like Four Weddings and a Funeral either.
Oh, no. No Notting Hill, no. But when he plays kind of like the character that he played in Bridget Jones's Diary, I'm like,
he was a sleazeball.
Yeah, he plays the sleazeball so well, and so that's why
he played himself in that movie,
right? And so, like, you can totally see him as horny prime minister.
Yeah.
Except
horny prime minister with a good heart. So, he definitely was not that in Bridget Jones.
No, and in the Love Actually follow-up, it's like Red Nose Actually or something. It's called a bunch of different things, but he does reprise the dance.
Oh, really?
He does.
The painful dance?
He actually said that he completely loathed doing that scene or thinking about doing that scene because he's a terrible dancer, which he really, really is a terrible dancer.
I agree.
But I am also a terrible dancer, so I'm not one to judge, and the bar is really low. So, Andy Lincoln's art studio.
Oh God,
that was just a bunch of black and white nudie pictures with Christmas hats on them.
It was terrible.
That is not art. I'm sorry, that's not art.
Isn't he the one who said it was art, though?
Yes. Like the girl's giggling. He's like, "Don't giggle, it's art."
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's not art. Did you notice Colin Firth's I'm sorry, not Colin Firth's character, Liam Neeson's character, his wife was named Joanne.
Uh-huh.
girl that the kid had the crush on
Was also
named
Joanna. Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. And then at her funeral, his eulogy said that she said that he should bring Claudia Schiffer as a date to her funeral.
Who is the person that he ends up getting with?
Yes.
Yeah.
Claudia Schiffer, or AKA Carol. Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. That was a cute little nod. So Mia, the oversexed secretary, why was she dressed as a devil at the Christmas party?
Isn't that obvious? Isn't that...
That was a little on the nose.
That's a rhetorical question, and my question is also rhetorical. Isn't it obvious why? I mean, she was so obvious about what her intentions were.
Right? And they even made it a point later to show her undressing, and she was totally prepped for going home with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like the devil ears, she should just have a Santa hat that says naughty on it. Like,
oh, that would have been a little more subtle, kind of, maybe.
I have one. I actually have a Santa hat. On one side it says naughty, and on the other side it says nice. Totally work inappropriate, but I wear it anyway.
That is hilarious. I have a Christmas sweater that someone sent to me that when you plug it in, it has blinking lights. It's a total ugly sweater contest winner. And I am going to start working in a neurology office. And I thought, I don't think I can get away with wearing that to work because someone might actually have a seizure looking at all the blinking lights.
That's a very good point. I'll send you my naughty hat.
There you go.
Dianne, the naughty nurse practitioner.
Right. Oh, dear God.
Oh, that's so awesome. Speaking of dodgy things, I love the word dodgy, and they used it so much in this movie.
It's a bit dodgy.
I love British idioms. Like, yeah. And dodgy is one of those words where no matter where you're from, you know exactly what that means. I live in a dodgy part of town. Yeah. That's funny. So yeah, I think... Oh, okay. The last thing that I have. What a horrible time to bring up your husband's suspected infidelity.
Oh, at the kids' Christmas pageant?
Yeah, like you're saying hi to all the other parents and you're about to greet your children who just came off stage, and like you totally confront him about it, and then you both have to go back to being a normal couple and normal parents for at least the next 20 minutes until the awkward ride home.
Can you blame her?
Wrong time. Not the right time. I know it's probably one of those things where she probably just cracked at that moment, having to pretend to be normal since, 2 hours ago when she opened her CD instead of the necklace. But at least wait for the ride home. I don't know. Yeah, the bad timing award goes to...
Now I'm going to have to watch the Red Nose thing just to get the update on that couple.
Yeah, and I'm sure they will work in some way because Alan Rickman's no longer with us. So Obviously Alan Rickman is no longer with her. So yeah, I do want to watch the update. Like I said, I just found it today and I didn't have time to watch it, but I've watched a couple of interviews and stuff on it. And actually I am curious about them. Like I said, I really wish they would have done half the cast in that time over, and done it over, 4 months rather than cram it all into 5 weeks. But yeah. That's all I had.
Well, bless your heart. You put much more energy into it than I expected, and I very much appreciate it. And I still want to read the Jezebel article.
And I will probably hate watch this on cable next time.
Just to see what happened with Jack and Judy.
Exactly. I have to know. And it's about Christmas time, so this will probably be playing on American television. In fact, actually, what's funny is when you and I decided to podcast this, that night when we hung up, I went to bed and like I saw the last 2 minutes of the movie because
No way, really?
Yeah, it was on TV. So I'm sure they'll replay it ad nauseum until New Year's. So I'm pretty sure I'll get my chance to find out what happens with Jack and Judy. If there is a Jack and Judy.
Well, they got married.
Right, but I mean, if you've only watched it on cable, unless they have done something to digitally alter their scenes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, all of a sudden there's just this cute little blonde couple at the end.
At the very end.
Married.
Well, so what do you want to do next? Do you want to do an episode of Walking Dead, or do you want to do Pollyanna McIntosh's movie?
We should probably do an episode of Walking Dead just to mix it up.
Okay. Do you want to talk privately, as in not on the podcast, about what episode we want to do and surprise people, or?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that. So next week, if you don't want to hear another rom-com review, you can join us and we'll talk about one of our favorite episodes of The Walking Dead from seasons past.
Yes. It could be, are we going to probably do any of the seasons?
I think we're going to do any of them, but things from season 1 because we already did the retrospective of season 1.
Okay.
And I think it's fair to not do anything from this first half of season 9 since we just finished that.
Oh, definitely.
So seasons 2 through 8 are fair game.
All right.
And definitely if anyone who's listening has any suggestions about what episode they would like to have reviewed from seasons 2 through 8, please let us know.
Yes.
And then at some point during the hiatus, we're going to be watching, what's the title of the movie with Pollyanna McIntosh?
I'm just looking for it now, and I cannot find it. Yeah, I cannot find it. It's one of the horror movies that she did. Yeah, I don't have it.
Well, we will find out, and we will make sure that we get it out to people before we do it.
Yeah, it's not The Woman. That one was really, really awful. Oh, it's Let Us Pray. Prey.
Oh, dear. I think I've even heard of that.
Yes. Yes. And I'm going to actually say it's more of a thriller than a horror. And I think it looks like IMDb categorized it as horror/thriller. So it stars Liam Cunningham and Pollyanna McIntosh. And you will recognize Liam Cunningham if you are a Game of Thrones fan, as well as many other movies and television shows. But yeah, so that was the better of the two Pollyanna McIntosh horror movies that I watched.
Well, for you, I will watch a Pollyanna McIntosh movie because you watched Love Actually for me. And to me, you are perfect.
To me, you are perfect. That's funny. We should have gone out with that instead of what did David say. All right, everybody.
All right, guys, have a good week, and we'll be back next week with a retrospective of one of the past episodes of The Walking Dead.
Yep. Have a good week.
And until then,
let's take it
one dead day at a time. That's the best we've ever done it.
Actually, you cut out for me. So we should just do it on instinct from now on and not try to follow each other.
All right. On that note, everybody, have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.